Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Coffee with Craig show. We'll be talking about commercial real estate in Central and Eastern Europe. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special edition of the Coffee with Craig show. We're here with Szymon Ostrowski from NEWPORT Logistics Fund, raising the second fund. We're here at MIPIM. We're here at MIPIM at the Carlton Hotel, and great opportunity this early Tuesday morning. And Szymon, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you back. We'd like to hear a lot more about the second fund getting started, because our last interview, you were just starting it and just starting to raise money. And great that we're here at MIPIM and such nice weather and great opportunity. Before we get on to the second fund, though, let us know you're here at MIPIM, we're here at the Carlton. What are you expecting out of MIPIM over the next few days? I imagine, and again, thank you for your time, because I know you have a busy schedule, I can imagine. But what do you expect to get out of this as far as investors and meetings, and how do you see the end of the week turning out?
Thank you very much, Craig. Good morning. Good to be back on the show. I think my main expectations for MIPIM is to reconnect with people. So definitely meeting other industrial professionals, potential investors, partners. This is the goal. For me, I have a whole week of very tight schedule of meetings, but for me the idea is to meet new people, but also to grasp the information, how they feel and what's their feeling about the market.
Right. So last time we met, you were and you couldn't even tell us exactly where, because it was still a bit secret, but you had a project ready to be signed in Austria and one in France. So tell us a little bit about that and how things have changed over the last 6 months?
Yeah, correct. So our second fund, we are raising and investing from our second fund. Just as a reminder, the first fund we've raised 50 million euro.
Right.
In 10 months. We deployed the capital into London, Amsterdam, and Central Poland. Coming back to the second fund, we indeed are raising, and we are also investing, as you mentioned. So we are currently developing a project in Linz in Austria. We are also developing a project in Lyon in France. And last but not least, the project that we are currently focusing on is SAS van Gent. It's in the Netherlands. So those three projects we are already investing in, and there will be additional 1 or 2 extra projects that we will do in the second fund in Western Europe.
So I noticed, I was going to say, I noticed the second fund is really only focused on Western Europe. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, you had one project also, if I remember right, in London near Heathrow. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's from the first fund. It's being currently developed. Hopefully, we will start selling it by the end of this year.
Oh, great. So are you looking at more continental Western Europe, or also some UK options too?
For the second fund, we are also looking on projects from the UK. Generally, we are looking on core Europe for the second fund.
Now, with the second fund, how much money have you raised so far, and what do you plan to raise? I mean, this is not an easy environment to be raising money as well. So what have you raised now, and what do you expect, and what is the timing?
So I would say we are hoping to raise as much as possible.
Okay.
We will be finishing raising by mid-year.
Okay.
So around June, we are finishing fundraising. Currently, we have 70 million euro raised so far.
Okay.
Our mix of investors today, and this is something that we will be also announcing this week, is we are also having institutional investors on board.
Oh, great.
So not only high net worth individuals, not only family offices, but also institutional investors. So we are stepping up the game in terms of fundraising.
Right. Because the first fund was mainly family office and
high net worths.
And high net worths, right? So, wow, already the second fund, you're already getting institutional investors. So that's already a kind of a sign that you guys are trusted partners for these guys. Because
I think what we are doing really is something interesting for investors. Because, we are today, Cannes, MIPIM, the conference, the biggest real estate conference is just beginning, and we'll see how the market is feeling about everything. But I think it's very easy to say and clear to say that in today's environment, in real estate, there are some issues. Obviously, the interest rate which went up are not helping.
Sure.
However, within the real estate, warehouses are doing extremely well. Not only because you build it quickly, not only because banks are financing it, but also because of the global macro trends, which is nearshoring, supply chain issues, and e-commerce,
Right, right.
which basically are supporting the growth of warehouses.
Right. And I see a lot of the e-commerce guys are the ones that are doing well are even adding some more kind of bricks and mortar stores and building
Correct.
on this. The ones with money and have a bit of vision, yeah.
Correct.
So they're doing a lot on that. So you've got 70 million now. There's still an opportunity for some investors to get in. Now, what is their? I mean, what is the value for them to invest now? What do they get out of it? What are their expectations?
So I think, our story is consistent since the beginning. What we are providing with investors is an opportunity to invest in a diversified portfolio of warehouse logistics assets in Europe. We are working together with #1 warehouse developer. And from investors' point of view, the investor that decides to come now to the fund, not only we've got 70 million,
right?
Not only we invested into 3 assets already, not only we will have money to finish them, but we also have the money to do additional 1 to 2 assets. So I would say if somebody understands that logistics is a good game within real estate, understand the global trends, and is looking for a diversified portfolio of investments, they are coming to something which is basically ready.
Right.
They know what's here, they know what's the timing of the delivery of the assets. So it's I would say, a fairly safer bet than if you would be coming very early stage.
The first money, let's
exactly.
say. Well, it sounds like you've already done the work. Now they put in the money and get some of the results right away as well.
A lot of work has been done already. That's true, because as you mentioned, Craig, correctly, fundraising is extremely difficult, and I can see funds or investors which are much bigger than us are also struggling to find investors. However, I think what we are offering to investors is very appealing, and I think that our story, what we are doing, warehouses, Europe, diversified portfolio, it is just interesting for investors,
right?
Because money is out there. There's loads of money. It's more about really getting the money into the right place and giving this money a good opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, the guys with money, some of them now are just saying, oh, we're just leaving it in the bank. They're trying not to make any decisions at the moment. And you've clearly convinced them that this is good.
Correct.
So maybe let's talk about the third fund, if it's okay. You mentioned you're closing this one in June or around June. So great opportunities for investors. And then tell us a little bit about the third fund and, let's say, size, or at least the plan.
So yes, that's true. We are setting up. So once we will finish the fundraising for the second fund, which will be around June, as you mentioned, we will start setting up third fund. I think the third fund launch will happen around summer, just after the summer.
Okay.
So that's more or less. So still this year, still as quickly as possible after the second fund.
Yeah, third quarter is always good for
third quarter. Is always,
well, I think we'll do an interview at Expo and
that's a very good idea. And then I'll tell you
how much you've raised, how
much we've raised for the second, and how much we invested.
Exactly.
But so far, it's not our first meeting. I think there is a consistency in our actions.
For sure.
So coming back to the third fund, we are starting the third fund in Q3. We will be focusing at least at this moment, I think still we will be focusing on Western Europe, and we will be aiming to raise approximately, I would say, 300 million.
Wow. Okay. So really be taking over the warehouse market in Western Europe, I would say.
I think that we are really following the supply and demand, and there is a huge demand for warehouses. The supply is not that big.
Right.
And to be honest, investors are looking for interesting opportunities. And the truth is, if you would like to be in development of warehouses in a diversified way, Newport Logistics Fund is the only opportunity out there.
Right. And, especially Western Europe, where a lot of people were saying, well, it's all very developed, but it's they're such bad condition and older warehouses, right? Not ESG, not even an ESG plan for a lot of them, I would imagine.
That's actually that's a very good point, Craig, because in Western Europe, what we can see is a lot of brownfields happening, because basically, the buildings are old. A building built 20 years ago still is having the function of kind of covering, sealing, and having the goods protected, but no panels, no energy efficiency, no ESG, no rating, which means difficulty with financing, which means difficulty with getting good tenants that they need to also report.
They don't want to be in those buildings.
Exactly. And then the same, if you want to have a good buyer for the warehouse, you need to be ESG compliant. If we say about ESG, our second fund, this is something new compared to the first fund. Our second fund is actually Article 8 SFDR, which means we are focusing very much on the ESG aspect. Obviously, all of our assets were always BREEAM excellent, with all the compliant with the ESG. But now we even put more emphasis on the ESG on the fund level itself, which is very important for institutional investors.
Right. And you did say 300 million, so that is probably a lot of institutional, I would imagine, instead of high net worth. High net worths are probably 10 million under, I would imagine, or in that range.
We always like high net worths. These were our first investors that came to the first fund, that trusted us and kind of are working with us still till today. So they will always be very important for us. However, we also see that there is a huge potential from the institutional investors, and obviously from the fundraising perspective, it's much easier to discuss with institutional investors because the tickets are much bigger.
Right, and it's less meetings, I guess. And
which we like meetings.
Yeah, of course.
But you need to manage time and expectations in a wise manner.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, Szymon, great to see you. Thank you for your time. Szymon Ostrowski, CEO of NEWPORT Logistics Fund, working on finishing up the second fund here at MIPIM. Maybe you'll get the rest of the money even here. Yeah,
who knows?
It's here. They're walking around looking for the money. Starting the third fund in September after summer. So, Szymon, thank you for your time. Great to see you. And we're looking forward to actually an interview at Expo Real to see how the second fund ended and the third fund is started. Yeah,
that's the plan. Thank you very much, Craig. It's always a pleasure to be with you on Coffee with Craig.
Excellent. So, thank you all for watching the Coffee with Craig show, and stay tuned for the news. Click here to subscribe to the Coffee with Craig show, and don't forget to share it with your friends.